Be here in New York City. Thank you all very much for being here for the UFC 295 Prochazka versus Pereira press conference. Of course, the pay-per-view goes down live Saturday night, November 11th, of course, inside this world-famous Madison Square Garden Arena in New York. Limited tickets still available, of course, at the box office. So if you don't have them, now you know. All right, who has the first question? John Morgan, take it away.
Sir, I'd like to start with Jiri, please. Jiri, when you were injured, you obviously vacated the belt so the division could move on, but then there was a draw, and then there was an injury, and so it didn't really move on. In hindsight, do you wish maybe you hadn't vacated the title and that you'd have kept it this time, or do you feel like it was the right choice?
It was the right choice because show must go on. The division must still grow. Let us see who's the best guy now here, and this guy I want to face.
Nice. And Jiri, I know you still kind of consider yourself champion. So what does a victory here mean for you? I mean, is this an amazing new accomplishment in your career to come back from injury and win this again, or is this simply just restoring order in the division, so to speak?
It depends. One side in me, it's taking that it's another fight, another place, another opponent. No, there is no other thing. But the second thing, beautiful city, New York, Madison Square Garden, main event, great opponent. I'm happy for that, so like that.
Thank you, Jiri. If I could for Alex, please. Alexei, here you are, just your 7th UFC fight, fighting for a 2nd UFC title, which is a pretty incredible accomplishment. You've been a champion before, but what would this victory mean for you?
Alex, para você, 7ª luta no UFC e já lutando pelo 2º título. Seria impressionante, já é impressionante, seria ainda mais. Quão especial seria a oportunidade de ganhar um 2º título?
Bom, para mim muito especial, mas eu acho que é pelo trabalho que eu fiz, desde quando cheguei na organização, fui campeão e estou tendo a oportunidade novamente aí de estar disputando e levando mais um cinturão em outra categoria.
Be amazing for me. Obviously, it's the fruit of all the work that I've done since I come to the organization. To have the opportunity to fight for another belt, it would be great.
You obviously have a great opponent here, and should you be victorious, you have a great opponent in Jamal Hill lying ahead as well. But I got to ask, you chased Israel Adesanya for a lot of years. Do you expect him to chase you to 205 as well at some point?
Você tem um grande oponente em frente, você também fala-se muito de Jamal Hill, mas por muito tempo você esteve aí quase que atrás na cola do Israel Adesanya. Você acha que ele agora vai ficar na tua cola e vai perseguir você?
Bom, eu acredito que não. Eu acho que, ele deu uma declaração, falou que ficar um tempo parado e eu tô em atividade, tô sempre lutando. Se ele estivesse lutando, eu poderia pensar dessa forma.
No, I don't think so, because he actually made a statement that he's going to take a break a little bit. I'm active. I continue to fight. Maybe if he was continuing to fight now, if he was active, maybe I would think that way.
Thank you, Alex. John, just one quicker for you. I usually leave you to the MC duties, but you're pretty great at contextualizing stuff. Here we are, 30th anniversary, 4 athletes from 4 different parts of the world. What do you think this event signifies for the promotion and just kind of where the sport is right now, 30 years in?
Well, it feels like a celebration of coronation, and there's no better place to do it, even for a Boston guy, by the way, than New York City. But it's about the athletes at the end of the day, and I have to shift the focus there. And for Tom Aspinall and Sergei Pavlovich to step up into this type of setting, and these two gentlemen in a fight that on paper is as good as any we can put together, just doesn't get a whole lot better. And check the betting lines, right? Pick'ems on both sides. We're very excited. Countdown is on to Saturday night, Johnny.
Question for Tom Aspinall. Tom, lovely shirt. I saw earlier today the UFC posted a video of people back home in the UK offering their support and their thrill for you to get this spot. I'm curious what it means to you to get that sort of support from back home.
First of all, thanks for the compliment. It was very expensive. I don't like putting my hand in my pocket too much, so special occasions and all that shit. Heavyweight titles coming up, so, got to look sexy, thank you. It was amazing, mate. People like GSP, people like Gordon Ramsay, absolute UK legend. Yeah, it was nice, mate. It made me a little bit emotional, to be honest. I really enjoyed it.
You mentioned there this is a big event, wanting to look sexy. I'm curious, now that fight night is nearly here and that title shot is on the horizon, do you feel like this is a big event for you, or are you just treating it like any other fight week?
Yeah, because of the short notice and stuff, I didn't really have too much time to think, to be honest. It's like I had a 2-week training camp, not even really a training camp, 2 weeks, but I had 2 weeks of training. Next minute, I'm flying across the world, I'm here. So, Yeah, I didn't really have too much time to think. It feels pretty normal.
As far as the short notice, is this kind of a weird fight where that short notice might not play into a factor because this fight could well be over in 5 minutes?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see, mate. It's heavyweight MMA with two massive guys. I'm a massive guy. Obviously, he's a massive guy. We've both got some big heads. You know, we're both sniper's dream, they like to call me with this head. So let's see if we can both, let's see if we can land on each other. And I'm sure one of us is going to land at some point.
Thanks very much. Question for Sergei. Sergei, Tom has continuously called you the most dangerous man in the UFC. But for you, do you believe he is the most dangerous guy you could be fighting this weekend?
Сергей, Том продолжает называть тебя самым опасным тяжеловесом в UFC. Но для тебя, как тебе кажется, как оппонент, как соперник, он тоже самый опасный сейчас в это время?
Спасибо Тому, то, что он меня так хорошо ценит. Конечно, Том очень опасный парень, который может и побороться, и подраться. Это очень опасный парень. Мы его воспринимаем на все 100%. Тут нет никаких поблажек и так далее. Это будет полноценный бой.
Thank you very much to Tom for giving me that distinction to be the most dangerous in the division. But, you know, I also think that Tom is a pretty dangerous guy. He's very good at stand-up, very good on the ground. We're not taking him lightly. We're preparing for 100%, and this is going to be a real full fight.
In your opinion, do you believe, based on his movement and your power, that this is a fight of speed versus power?
Твое мнение, поскольку у него такие быстрые движения, он так быстро двигается, и у тебя такая мощная сила, тебе кажется, что это противостояние силы против скорости?
Ну, я думаю, тут не только сила против скорости. Я повторюсь, что мы оба бойца, которые могут и в стойке, и побороться. Это вообще противостояние очень интересное, поэтому приходите, посмотрите, будет очень жарко.
It's not necessarily just a competition of speed versus power. As I said before, I'm going to repeat myself. We're both very good at stand-up. We're both very good on the ground. So this is going to be a real fight. So please come in, come see the fight. You're going to enjoy it.
Question for Alex back here. Obviously, like John said, since Jiri gave up the belt, we had that draw, and then Jamal Hill won, and then he had to vacate as well. So obviously, Jiri technically never lost his light heavyweight championship. So I'm curious, do you view Jiri as the rightful champion? Are you trying to claim his title, or do you view this as like an actual vacant title fight?
Para você, Alex, tudo que aconteceu desde que a gente viu a luta, obviamente o Jiri foi campeão, teve que deixar o cinturão. Depois você teve aquela luta que teve um empate. Depois disso, você tem o Jamal ganhando e ele também teve que deixar o cinturão de lado. Você vê nesse momento, com tudo o que aconteceu, que você está lutando contra aquele que realmente é o campeão e que ele é o campeão, que você está o correto campeão nesse momento ou não?
Bom, os dois têm o mérito, né? De alguma forma eles tinham o cinturão, então foram campeões. E, pô, isso pra mim não importa. Tô focado nessa minha luta. Quero fazer uma luta muito boa, né? E ganhar mais esse cinturão.
I think to each their own merit. They both won something. Right now, it doesn't matter to me. I'm focused on this fight, and I want to be the champion.
Question for Jiri in the back. Your fight against Glover was obviously very well received. Some people think it's one of the best fights in UFC history. But you yourself said after the fight that maybe you were a little disappointed in how you fought in that fight. Maybe there were some mistakes. So I'm curious, when you envision this fight on Saturday, how do you view the perfect fight against Alex?
For me, it's not just about the perfection, but about to take the action, yeah, and that's my opinion. To show my best performance, like every time. But now, I had more than 1 year to think about my style, my performance in the cage, what to do, what not to do, and now I really don't care about that because I just will go there and do everything for a win. Adjust the moment.
Then finally, one for you, John. Obviously, fans were very excited to watch John Jones fight Stipe Miocic, but I think both of these men in the new main event said, not a lot of fans asked for refunds because, we're still fighting on that card too. So do you get a sense that this fight in the main event is really one of these fights that fans just have circled throughout the rest of the cards lined up?
It's a dream scenario for fight fans, right? And the promotion cuts my check, but I am a hardcore fan at my core when it comes to MMA. And the fact that there was no buildup for a fight of this magnitude is systematically crazy. The fact that these two men 3 weeks ago were probably not going to be the next fight for each other, and now they're fighting for an interim belt. Who knows what's going to happen with the two legends and that legacy fight and what the future for those two men will hold thereafter. But as far as I'm concerned, we're crowning a new heavyweight champion this weekend. We will have two heavyweight champions, and we'll see where we go from there. But we got the two best guys in the world, I think, right now, other than those other two, and we're excited, my man.
Alex, tudo bom? Fazer em português aqui. Você vence, como já mencionaram anteriormente, você vencendo sábado agora, você entra para um seleto grupo do UFC de atletas que foram campeões em duas categorias. Primeiro brasileiro, depois da Amanda Nunes. Caso você conquiste isso, você terá feito em 7 lutas, que é um recorde. Esse recorde, tem algum outro recorde que você interessa? A busca por recordes é algo que te interessa no seu legado no UFC?
Alex, with this fight, with a win now in the title, you would be a part of a select group of athletes that have been champions in 2 weight divisions, especially the first Brazilian since Amanda Nunes. A record also because of 7 fights. Would you look at other records? Is it important for you? Is that record chasing in any capacity? What other records are you chasing?
Bom, quando eu cheguei na organização, o meu intuito, né, era me tornar campeão, fazer as lutas que eu poderia fazer para chegar até ali, né, ser campeão. Foi o que eu fiz, né? Eu não cheguei com o intuito já, quero ganhar em 2 categorias, né? Eu vou dando um passo de cada vez. Então, depois eu vi que no peso médio estava um pouco mais complicado, devido ao peso, que eu já expliquei para todo mundo, resolvi subir de categoria e agora estou tendo a oportunidade para ganhar esse cinturão. E depois eu não sei o que acontece. A gente vai trabalhar e, passo de cada vez.
When I came into the UFC, my goal was to be a champion. That's what I wanted to be, and I was able to accomplish that. And then it just kind of happened naturally. If you think about it, I mentioned the middleweight got hard for me. I've spoken about that. You all know about the weight and how it's so much better right now. And it happened now, having an opportunity to be a champion in another division. I don't know after that. We'll see what happens.
A gente que acompanha o esporte sabe da sua origem. Você é um cara bem tranquilo, bem na sua... meio que às vezes foge até dos holofotes, assim. Sendo campeão do UFC, a visibilidade é impossível de evitar esse tipo de visibilidade. Está cada vez mais famoso, mais de 1 milhão de seguidores no Instagram, redes sociais, enfim. Está pronto e te interessa carregar essa fama, por exemplo, no Brasil, ser um dos rostos mais famosos, um dos embaixadores do esporte no Brasil? Te interessa esse nível de fama? E como lidar com isso? É natural para você? É difícil?
We know you as a very chill guy. We know you coming up, just somebody that's just always on doing his thing. Sometimes even kind of running away from the spotlight. But now you become a champion. You become an interesting figure. Like if the fame is chasing you now, you at one point you can't even run away from those lights. Does it interest you to actually embrace this and become a celebrity, especially in Brazil right now, become one of the ambassadors for MMA and for the UFC?
Bom, não sabia que ia ser dessa forma, né? Como está acontecendo. Agora estou sendo cada dia mais reconhecido, mas eu sei que faz parte, né, do trabalho com os resultados, né, que eu estou tendo. Isso é inevitável, mas de alguma certa forma, claro que eu gosto, né? Mas às vezes eu tento pôr um pouco de limite, igual esses dias mesmos aqui, foi muito corrido, muitas entrevistas. Cheguei aqui, não parei. É um pouco difícil, mas faz parte.
Of course, I like it. It's something that I know that I'm being recognized more and more. It comes naturally. Wasn't an intention originally, but now even I'm just trying to put some limits to it. Think about this week. I got here and I haven't stopped. Having interviews all the time, it's part of the game, but I just tried to put some limit into it as well.
Okay, my last one is for Jiri. Fighting Alex, of course, you have so many fights so far. Is there some specific in his fighting style that you have to adjust? Like when you see his style, is there something specific that you think about it, how hard it is to fight Alex in UFC?
I'm seeing like completely all of the complexly. I see all of the parts, stand-up, wrestling, ground game, everything, like in one piece. And that gave me my view, positive view, how to deal with that. That's all. What you mean, especially.
Just over here, question for Tom. Hi, just over here. You mentioned previously about the dark times that you went through with the injury, but it might have been the best thing that actually happened to you. Can you talk a little bit about what you learned about yourself during those dark times?
Yeah, I learned a lot about myself. I learned that big guys need to train with big guys, very important. I feel so much better mentally and physically through training with other heavyweights every single day, 4 or 5 heavyweights, easily a day. And I just wanted to focus everything on becoming the UFC heavyweight champion of the world. Do you know what I mean? Before I was like half in and half out. Since the injury, I had a lot of time to think. I had a lot of time to realize what I need to put my focus on, what I need in my life, both inside and outside the gym. And it was a blessing in disguise. It was shit at the time. It was absolutely terrible, but I learned a lot from it, and I'm completely different now.
And you said before that, of course, this week everything's gone so fast, but have you had a moment to just pause and reflect on the journey that you've had to get to this point?
Not really. I'll probably do that when I've retired, to be honest. Like, this sport is like, Saturday will be done, and then it'll be like, when's the next one? That's the way it works. It's like, when's the next one, when's the next one, when's the next one? And I think that when you stop and then start thinking about what you've done so far, that's time you start getting a bit comfortable. And I ain't trying to be comfortable. I'm trying to be the best heavyweight walking the face of the earth. I'm not trying to be comfortable. So I'll look back when I've retired. I'll tell the kids, I'll tell the grandkids, I'll tell anyone who will listen how good I was. But for right now, I'm focused on the task at hand, and that is obviously Saturday night.
And of course, the UK have had 2 champions, Michael Bisping and Leon Edwards. What would it mean to you to bring the interim title back to the UK? Yeah,
it's massive. UK MMA is so big right now. Like, we've got such a small country. We've got so many good fighters in the UFC right now, and in other organisations as well. Like, we're doing so well as a country, and it's massive for me to win the heavyweight title and bring it back to the UK is absolutely massive.
Alex, over here. How special is it that you're about to become the first person to headline 2 UFC events at Madison Square Garden?
Alex, para você, o quão especial é saber que você é a pessoa que duas vezes você é o evento principal no Madison Square Garden?
Bom, fico muito feliz, né? Poxa, todo mundo sabe que eu fiz a minha estreia aqui, onde eu fui campeão no médio, e tô tendo a oportunidade aí de levar mais esse cinturão. Então, a minha felicidade é imensa. Eu só não demonstro, né? Não dou muita risada, mas, tô muito feliz.
It's immense. It's just so important. Everybody knows the history and what I was able to accomplish here in middleweight. It's such a special moment, and believe me, I am really happy. I just don't smile much, but believe me, I am happy.
And then Tom, over here, one more from me. Yesterday, you said that Sergei was probably the scariest man in MMA. So I'm just wondering, first impression seeing him on stage here.
Pretty scared. Scary guy, mate. Yeah, he's definitely an intimidating guy. But that being said, I do my best work when I'm scared. Fear is something that I have a really good relationship with, and it gives me a superpower. So generally speaking, the more scared I am, the better I do in the fight. So that's... DC actually told me today about, what was it? A honey badger, the animal.
Yeah, honey badgers are the league leaders in fear, so they're pretty dangerous in combat.
That's me. I'm the honey badger moving forward, so I'm happy with that. That's cool.
Tom, sticking with you, I know you said yesterday you accepted this fight under the worst circumstances possible. I'm wondering, though, if you'd had a full camp, what do you think the difference in feeling would be right now, this close to the fight? Would it be a physical confidence, a mental confidence? How would things be different?
Well, I'm still confident either way. Obviously, I said yesterday in a few interviews, I'm not the type of guy who's going to fly across the world, sign a contract, and show up if I don't think I'm going to win. That's just not in my nature. I would have definitely liked more time to prepare, obviously. But I know one thing. I'm not going to fucking win the fight sat on the couch watching TV, watching it. Like, I'm going to be in there Saturday night. I'm dangerous. And it takes one shot at heavyweight. And I'm not going to land that sat in the UK watching it on TV. So why not be here having a go?
For sure. For you, Sergey, you've obviously been the backup fighter earlier this year. You're supposed to be the backup fighter here, and then you get Tom. So you've had like 4 or 5 names on your mind over the course of this year. How much did that help you prepare for this short notice change to Tom and focusing on him?
В начале года ты уже должен был драться на замене, теперь ты опять должен был назначен быть на замену, и теперь в конце концов тебе дают имя Тома. Насколько вот 4 соперника, в принципе, к которым ты готовился, повлияло на то, насколько ты заряжен, насколько ты готов и к твоему подходу к бою?
Ну, в принципе, я делал общую работу, как мы понимаем. Джон Джонс очень хороший борец, Стип очень хороший страйкер, поэтому мы делали и туда акцент. Такая общая работа. Как мы понимаем, Том у нас парень универсальный, как я повторюсь, он может и бить, и бороться. Единственные коррективы некоторые внесли, а так в целом подходящая работа была.
Yeah, you know, we did a general camp. We prepared for John Jones, who's a great wrestler. We prepared for Stipe Miocic, who's a great striker. So I have a general camp that was done for any fight that was going to be put in front of me. And then when we got Tom, obviously we did some adjustments because Tom's fast, Tom's speed, and so on. So yes, we did shift a couple of things, but in general, the work has been done.
And just lastly for Alex, a lot of talk up here about how you can break Randy Couture's record and become the fastest fighter to 2 UFC belts, 7 UFC fights. If you pull this off, given your background in glory, 2 belts there, do you think people need to start talking about you as one of the greatest combat sports athletes of all time with Henry Cejudo and all these other people who have done things in multiple sports?
Para você, Alex, você tendo a oportunidade agora, nessa 7ª luta, ser campeão em uma outra categoria, você tá para quebrar o recorde do Randy Couture. E realmente um recorde que te coloca numa categoria que grandes lutadores da história do esporte de combate. Uma vez que, com tudo que você fez no Glory, em kickboxing, tudo que você está fazendo no UFC e ganhando esse título, você acha que está na hora de considerar você como um dos grandes atletas de esporte de combate, como o próprio Randy Couture e o Henry Cejudo, pessoas que fizeram coisas fora da caixinha?
Bom, não sei quais são os critérios, né, para ter esses títulos, mas eu estou fazendo o meu trabalho, assim como eu fiz no Glory. Eu não esperava que eu ia para o Hall da Fama, né, mas eu fiz o meu trabalho, eu não pensei nisso. No UFC também eu não estou pensando, mas é claro, se tiver algo especial assim também, eu vou ficar muito feliz.
I don't know what's the criteria for actually calling somebody, these kinds of titles, the greatest athletes in combat sports history, but I don't think about it that much. What I did was do my job. When I did what I did at Glory, I wasn't thinking about the Hall of Fame. I just wanted to be a champion, and I did it. Same thing in the UFC. Doing everything I can, being a champion, and if I get this, of course, it will be a pleasure, and I would love to be considered for those.
Question for Sergey over here. The betting line on this fight has you just very, very short underdog, same line as your fight against Curtis Blades, and you put him away pretty quickly. Do you embrace this opportunity, as the odds makers, having you as the underdog?
Ставки на этот бой, ты андердог чуть-чуть, так же, как ты был андердогом чуть-чуть с Кертисом Блейдсом, но ты его достаточно быстро закончил. Насколько тебя это заряжает, что на тебя ставят как андердога?
На самом деле я вообще не смотрю на ставки, это совсем другое. Я же говорю, выйдем в клетку и там посмотрим.
To be honest, I'm not a betting man, so I don't care what the bets are. I said it already, I'm going to say it again. We're going to go into the octagon and we'll see what happens.
And then my last question for you, John. You made the comment earlier about how both these fights are pick'ems, but to my data at least, this is the best pay-per-view betting-wise we've seen all year. Not a single fight over minus 300 on the main card, only one on the entire card. Just kind of curious, everyone's, complaining about not John Jones, Stipe, but this might look as good as it's been all year. Just curious, your take on that.
Yeah, I don't hear all those complaints necessarily, and it's a matchmaker's dream when you can have a fight that plays out on paper as evenly matched as this one. It's not always our reality, but the matchmakers will certainly be happy to know that the prices are so close for the 2 marquee fights this weekend.
This question's for Mr. Anik. Welcome back to New York. I am deeply sorry about the Patriots, by the way.
Thank you, sir.
No problem. I believe this card is flying on the radar because there's no trash talk. There's not a lot of noise, not a lot of bells and whistles, just great martial artists, the best martial artists in the world competing. New York is the state and the home of high-stakes, high-rewards fights since the days of Joe Louis versus Max Schmeling. How would you sell this to the casual viewer and the casual fight fan of why they need to see this fight? Because we know why they need to see this fight card, but how would you sell it to the casual viewer at home?
Heavyweight championship, light heavyweight championship inside the Mecca, the world's most famous arena. This is the walk that every combat sports athlete hopes to make Tom Aspinall had never been to New York City until this weekend, right? So this building is just undeniably special. The UFC live event has never been a hotter commodity than it is in 2023. And I assure you, I don't say that because I work for the company. So it's as good a fight card, I think, as we can put together, and with an MSG backdrop. We got 15 Super Bowls a year, the one the NFL does and the 14 that we do, man. So.
That's a very, very good point, sir. Question is for Sergei. You win this interim championship. You're one step closer to join the ranks of the Russian bear Oleg, who won UFC 6, and Khabib Nurmagomedov, former champion. And of course, I see a lot of comparisons to you and Fedor Emelianenko. Do you consider yourself or put yourself within the ranks of those esteemed incredible champions?
Давай представим, что ты действительно выиграешь этот временный титул в субботу. Получается, что ты уже теперь на рангах таких людей, как Олег, который выиграл UFC номер 6, таких людей, как Хабиб Нурмагомедов, который был чемпионом, ну и таких людей, как Ислам и так далее. То есть ты получаешься одним из важных чемпионов. Ты ставишь себя на эту ступень тех людей, плюс тебя сравнивают с Федором. То есть ты считаешь, что ты один из лучших вообще тяжеловесов, атлетов, которые сражаются в UFC?
Ну, для меня самое главное пояс, а остальное уже, пускай поклонники, эксперты, они сами сравнивают, это их работа. Моя работа другая.
You know, the most important thing is the belt, and the rest, let's leave it to the experts. Let them say who's the best, who's on ranks, who's in what place. My job is something totally different.
Jirko, how special is this day in your life? You came from a small city in Czech Republic, and now you are fighting, getting your title back in the most famous arena in the world.
Thank you for the question. That was, since I started with the martial arts, that was in my head, in my visualization all the time. These big moments, and that I can handle the world championship.
And Sunday morning, 6 o'clock, the whole Czech Republic will be watching. 1 month ago, you went media silence. What would you like to say to your friends, training partners, and all the fans, they follow you?
I just want to say thank you to all of the fans from Czech Republic, especially to my team, to all of guys who's standing behind me, and we are going for that. Let's go for that victory.
Thank you. Vítězství.
Question for Tom here to your right. I know earlier this week you said you didn't want to think about the magnitude of fighting in an arena where greats like Mike Tyson and Rocky Marciano have fought. But now that you're actually in the shadow of the arena, has the magnitude of the occasion sunk in yet?
I was in the arena a couple of days ago as well, actually. I actually went to go and see the seating area and all the kind of stuff where we're actually going to fight. And no, not really. We'll see on Saturday. But not really. It's an arena. It's an iconic arena, obviously. It's the arena where every combat sport athlete wants to compete, or at least I do. But at the end of the day, mate, it's another arena, and I'm going in there to do my job. My job is to fight this big, scary fella over here, and I'm going to give it my best go.
And I know you said you haven't thought about the magnitude of it. It's just another arena. But have you thought about the magnitude of winning the belt, bringing it back to Wigan, and putting it in your dad Andy's front room?
Of course, I've been thinking about that since I was 8 years old. So, yeah, definitely thought about that before. And couple of days away now. It's going to happen.
Cheers, man.
John, welcome to New York. We are not sorry about the Patriots, by the way. I only get one question, so I wanted to ask Tom. You said the shirt was very sexy. You had deep into your pockets for this. Where is it from? Shout out the guy.
You don't think it's sexy?
I do. You said it. You said it was a sexy shirt.
Does it look sexy on me, though?
100%.
Oh, thanks. That's very nice of you. I think you can't polish a turd, but I'm trying my best over here. I'm not going to shout out where it's from, because they didn't give it me for free. If I got it for free, you better believe I'm name dropping. But I had to pay for this shit, so I ain't shouting nobody out.
The Brock Lesnar, they ain't paying me nothing. Gotcha.
Tom, yesterday, I'm on your right. I asked you about what are the difficulties in finding weaknesses in Sergei's game, but what about the strengths? We know he has the power, but what about his hand speed and pressure? What else impresses you?
He impresses me everywhere. I don't think you can look at his game and be like, this is where he's weak. I think the biggest issue that he's got fighting a guy like me is there's not another guy like me in the heavyweight division. It doesn't exist. Like, it literally doesn't exist. There's nobody 6'5", 260 who moves like I move. He can get all the training partners in the world that he wants, but you can't replicate a guy like me in the gym. And also, I'm not going to stand in the middle of the cage and have a shootout with him. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to have a dick measuring competition with him, both literally and figuratively, because he'll probably win both. You know what I mean? So we're going to. Well, we're going to see what happens. We're going to see what happens, mate. We're going to see what happens.
And speaking of that movement, what are the keys of like when do you know when to close the distance and to bounce out when you're trying to use that distance management?
I don't know. We'll see. Practice is how you do it. But I think I'm really good at doing things under pressure. That's one of my biggest strengths. Is when the pressure's on, that's when I thrive. And what I'm realizing as I'm getting more mature in life in this sport, you know, I've had quite a lot of fights now, is not everybody can do it. Not everybody can perform under pressure. Not everybody can make decisions under pressure. And I believe that I'm one of the few people that can do it.
And just one last one for Alex. While you were in Glory, what were your thoughts on potentially ever grappling or wrestling? You showed a lot of improvement in that area of your game, especially in your last fight. Do you enjoy it now? And what were your thoughts on wrestling and grappling back then?
Uma pergunta para você. Quando você estava no Glory, estava só no kickboxing, você se imaginava, qual que era o teu pensamento geral sobre você fazer grappling, você entrar em luta, você faz jiu-jitsu, tudo lá no chão? Você melhorou muito. A gente vê que você está treinando e melhorando. Como é que você se vê hoje fazendo isso?
Eu comecei a treinar em 2009, né? Foi onde eu conheci o esporte, né? Em 2015 eu comecei a treinar MMA, mas treinava pouco, né? Mas eu nunca imaginei que ia chegar nesse patamar. Isso nunca passou pela minha cabeça.
I started training in 2009, and then in 2015 I got into MMA, obviously just getting experience with everything, but I never thought that I was going to be at that, that upper echelon, that level that I am right now. Never occurred in my head.
У меня вопрос к Сергею. Ранее в этом году Том в интервью Believe Me You сказал, что Сергей отказался принимать бой 2 раза. Если это правда, по каким причинам?
Question is for Sergei. Earlier in the year, Tom said in an interview that Sergei refused to accept the fight twice. If that's true, what were the reasons?
That's untrue. I never said that.
Это неправда, я такого не говорил.
Believe Me You.
Bullshit.
Believe Me You interview.
Sorry?
Believe Me You.
Was it Believe Me You interview? Probably Bisping?
No, I never said that one time he pulled out of the fight because he had visa issues, but I didn't say that he pulled out because he's scared, because obviously no, I never said that.
Один раз он отказался от боя, потому что вроде бы были проблемы с визой, но я никогда не говорил, что это из-за страха или из-за чего-то.
Но я не говорил, что из-за страха.
Не то, что отказался. Если там бой назначали, наверное, было либо ковидные какие-то меры, либо не было визы. Такого, чтобы отказывался от боя, никогда этого не было. Мы в этом спорте находимся для того, чтобы сражаться. И как ты будешь сражаться, идти к своей цели, если у тебя есть преграда в соперниках?
Yeah, if there was a refusal of a fight, it must have been COVID or any other visa issues. There was never an issue of the fighter in front of me. So if you're in this sport, if you're in this game, and you're not saying yes to a fight because you're worried about the opponent in front of you, then you're in the wrong game.
All right, thank you guys all for the questions. Don't forget, Fight Week continues tomorrow. Ceremonial weigh-in. The theater at Madison Square Garden is 5 p.m. Eastern. We're going to clear the stage and do some stare downs. Stay right with us.